Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Mew.
And welcome to the Kickback Cafe. This is the very first attempt at a long-form official podcast for the So You Want to Be an Imagineer YouTube channel. Mew, I am very excited about this. We're restructuring a lot of things with this. Of course, we've been doing what we've been doing lately is armchair Imagineering recaps for So You Want to Be an Imagineer, the competition held previously on Vision's Fantastic, now being held on WDW Magic's Imagineering community. But Mew, what we want to do with this is we want to not only cover the armchair Imagineering aspects, we want to just give you guys a free-form podcast with some categories, some subtopics we can get into. We're going to talk some Disney news. We're going to share some scary stories. We're going to have just a little bit of random chit chat thrown in as well. It's going to be a very official, as professional as we can possibly get it, formatted podcast. And it's not going to be like a beat by beat recap or anything like that, which is most of what we do on the channel, or like a reaction or anything of that nature or commentary. This is going to be like the most pure definition of a podcast, as like the dictionary definition of podcast that we've done on the channel so far.
And I have a great name for this new series.
Well, I was going to call it the Kickback Cafe, but what do you have in mind?
Screen Junkies.
Oh yeah. Oh, that'll totally work.
It's probably not copyrighted or anything.
We'll just upload like the Screen Junkies podcast, episode 1.
Get sued for $10 million.
Oh god.
You owe us revenue.
Oh god. Is that your impression of Dan Murrell?
No, it's a lawyer.
Okay.
You owe our YouTube channel revenue.
Okay, well, we'll get into impressions.
Yeah, we'll do that later.
Mew, since this might be a first-time thing, hearing about it for some of the listeners here on this podcast that might be in it for more than just the armchair Imagineering, do you want to just do a very, very brief summary, like a Cliff Notes version of what armchair Imagineering is in general and what we're here to talk about?
That sounds great. So armchair Imagineering, it's not a weird art form. It's a rare art form in a sense that there's certain Disney fans out there, such as Tiki and myself, who enjoy designing rides and theme parks and restaurants, stuff like that. We like being creative, but we don't want to go to the 4-year university to get the required diplomas and things like that to actually work for Disney.
I like when you put it like that. It's not like we don't have the money or we don't feel like we could. It's like, no, we just don't want to.
We don't want to do. Yeah, there are people who do, like Disney Man from WDW Magic. He actually wants to be one.
And Cole, of course, rose through the ranks.
Yeah, of course. There was an armchair Imagineer years ago who actually became an author and hung out with Tony Baxter and some other people. So it's
and if
just
you'd like to read his book, it's called Theme Park Review: The Art of Themed Entertainment. You can get it on Amazon. It's a great read.
I believe it's packaged.
I've still only read about 15% of that thing because it's massive. It's literally the size of the phone book. There's very little pictures, and the text is kind of tiny.
Well, kudos to him for spending the time to write it.
I know, right? Like I say that like it's a bad thing, but I don't. And he writes it intending it to be like a handbook and not so much like a front to back sort of piece of reading material. You know what I mean?
And that's good. That's unique. That's something we don't.
Absolutely, it's totally unique. Yeah, yeah.
Basically,
one of these days, Garrett, I really do need to do a full-blown review of that book. I promised him I would do it, and I was like, yeah, I might do it like a couple weeks after I get the book. Little did I know how much of an endeavor it would be to actually.
7 years later.
Oh God. Anyways,
in hindsight, armchair Imagineering is a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same as model railroading, video games, fantasy.
Kind of an offshoot of creative writing, as Evan.
Yeah. It's creative writing mixed with a hobby. So it's something I love doing. I spend my free time doing it when I'm home alone or when I'm home with people. I'm always writing something new, and it's a fun way to be creative, and it's a fun way to, if you have an imagination, which most everyone does, it's a fun way to let it work.
And of course, So You Want to Be an Imagineer, the competition that the channel is named after, is a competition that takes various people throughout the seasons. We've had 14 seasons total. We're just getting down to the finals of close to getting down to the finals of season 14. And in the broadest sense, it's just a collection of people who come together to share Imagineering ideas and compete for the best ideas. And much like Survivor, we dwindled them down one by one until we have a head-on competition at the end. I don't know. We're probably just like grinding the wheels for most people listening to this, but
that's true. But you never know. You could have those weird random subscribers that just.
Well, it's weird, like I said, because this is essentially like a pilot episode to our podcast. So I've never done a pilot before, so excuse us, folks, if we're a little rusty. This is what a pilot's for. It's working out the kinks and details.
All we need now to make this a real pilot is a laugh track.
Oh God. God damn it! Now that you mention it, I'm sorry, I cursed. Now that you mention it, though, I wish the Google effects still existed.
I don't even remember those.
The Google effects literally had a laugh track.
Well, okay.
Yeah. So okay, now I'm like, Google, why are you taking things away from us?
Yeah, Google.
Anyways, so let's talk about the Armchair Imagineering highlight of the week. So, of course, folks, our Armchair Imagineering highlight of the week is most of the time, if not all of the time, at least for the next month or so, while season 14 is still going on, it's going to be basically our excuse to work in the season 14 recap into the grand spectrum of the Kickback Cafe podcast. So, with that being said, we're going to talk about Project 8, I believe, of season 9 of season 14?
I think it's Project 9.
Project 9 of season 14. Okay.
I'll tell you right now.
It is Team Goals' Islands of Adventure Horror Nights. Now, with this, we have KMB's Tartarus Scare Zone. We have Basket Buddies' Lights, Cameras, Chucky. We have Mickey Fans' The Sorcerer's Realm. We have Snoopy's Return to Horror Island. We have Disney Man's Rocky Horror, Don't Dream It, Be It. We have Pie on My Cake's Five Nights at Freddy's Night Shift. And we have Battle of the Blood Pearl from Magic Feather. So what do you think of this collection of mazes and scare zones overall?
There were highlights and there were unhighlights.
That's a nice way of saying it.
Yeah. It was, there was some things that really stood out. And there were some things that were good, but didn't stand out as much as other things. Okay,
so let's break through it bit by bit. So KMB's Tartarus. This was a really cool scare zone for me, actually. It's just kind of like, to tell you the truth, one of the things I kind of had a hard time wrapping my mind around with this is 3 of the different selections were kind of mythology-based, like the Sorcerer's Realm, Tartarus, and Battle of the Blood Pearl. And I kind of feel like that's a little bit too much like mythology. I mean, I get that it goes good with the Islands of Adventure, but I don't know. I would have liked to see a few more IPs be used with the lineup here.
Yeah. I can see that.
I think this is a really good interpretation of course, the idea is that you're going into the underworld with Hades. Hades is issuing you a challenge. It's basically like this giant, like messed up party going on in the underworld. There's a grotesque feast going on.
Yeah. It's this was KMB, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where's your score for him?
I don't have it up on here because I posted it to the forum.
Oh, okay.
My
bad. Yeah, it was a good project. It's like, I think this is just a general blanket statement for most of the projects, with like the exception of 2 or 3. There was just like not as much detail as I would have liked.
Yeah.
That was like an ongoing issue I had, and I think KM had a significant amount, but not as much as I would have liked.
Okay, so transitioning to that, we have Basket Buddy with Lights, Camera, Chucky. Mew, this is great because this is essentially Basket Buddy repurposing a concept he had back in season 13 with the blue sky horror that we did for season 13 Project 1, where he wanted to do Chucky's Funhouse. And
yeah.
yeah, you remember that?
Now I do.
Lights, camera, Chucky, folks. I don't even really know what to say about it. Like, I struggle to write things about it beyond just like, it's another Basket Buddy classic. Like, Basket Buddy is like the freaking Michael Jordan of this season, in all honesty. He's just like as good as the other competitors are, it's like every time Basket Buddy releases anything, it's just like, yes, this is amazing. This is better than stuff that Disney designs. Oh my God. And folks, this is just, it puts us in such an awkward situation because it's like, I don't want to like make it seem like nobody else has a shot. And of course other people have a shot, but Basket Buddy is definitely playing the Disney Son from season 9 style game where he's just steamrolling through everything. I mean, he's virtually guaranteed him a spot in the finals at this point, unless he messes up significantly in the semifinals.
And he had posted that he does have a job now.
That's true.
You never know. That always it works important.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, basketball. I just love the cartoony element to it. I love it being set in Toon Lagoon.
The concept art was fantastic,
as always. Yes,
the facade and the queue and like the warning sign, like it looked like a real photo.
And that's something that Basket Buddy does really well is
CG concept art.
Yeah, and I was going to say specifically one of Basket Buddy's niches with the concept art is stuff like warning times or warnings and like wait times and stuff like that, like realistic, nitty gritty details that aren't necessarily flashy, but just make it pop so much more.
Yeah. And it's like, having been to Halloween Horror Nights myself, like the warning sign was like to a T.
Right.
Like the picture, the description, everything.
I'm pretty sure Basket Buddy lives in LA, so I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, he's had to have gone.
Actually, that reminds me, Mew. Okay, now that we're talking about Halloween Horror Nights, let's take a brief sidetrack. We both agree that we love Basket Buddy's project, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's take a brief sidetrack to talk about our upcoming trip in October to hype that up.
Yes.
Okay, so I am going to be staying at the Monkey Clan's household.
For sure.
Monkey and his parents. So I won't have to be spending money on a hotel. That'll be great. Thank you. Seriously, that's a giant load off for me. Although, Garrett, we might have to work out these details, but we might have to either split a hotel or maybe I could like crash on your house, on your couch or something the night we go to Halloween Horror Nights so I don't come home to Rob's house at like 4 a.m.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we'll work out the details.
Yeah.
But I digress, though, folks. This is super exciting to me. Basically, the plan is I'm going to do Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party with Monkey. I'm going to do Halloween Horror Nights with you. And hopefully, when I brought it up to Monkey, he didn't seem 100% sure about it yet. But I'm hoping that we can get Monkey to at least go to Universal Studios with us during the day to do Harry Potter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then if all goes well, I'm going to be going to Knott's Scary Farm with a surprise guest. That's all I'll say about it for right now, because it's really up in the air. I don't want to like, it's far more up in the air than the other two things.
It's Shamu.
Yes, it's Shamu. Yes, I'm going to be walking around Knott's Scary Farm with a killer whale. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Things have happened.
But anyways, I'm sorry, but the reason I brought that up, in Basket Buddy, if you're listening to this, please, by all means, tell me the feasibility of this. How amazing would it be to meet up with Basket Buddy at Halloween Horror Nights when we go?
To meet up with us?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be okay with that. I wouldn't object.
You don't sound as stoked about it as I do.
No, I was saying I wouldn't object to that. I'd be like, oh, all right.
To me, I'd be like, yes. Oh my God, you're a legend. Like, because Basket Buddy is the George Washington on the Mount Rushmore, so you want to be an Imagineer.
Well, even if we could just go out to eat with him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't need to like hang out with him like the whole night or anything. Right.
Lunch in City Walk or
anything.
Go to the
Basket
moon.
Buddy, I'm putting that out in the area. I'm not entirely sure if he's from LA, but I do remember when I talked to him on the one podcast I did with him where he kind of went over the process of his concept art. I remember him mentioning himself being a Lakers fan since he liked basketball, hence the basket in his name.
I think he is LA because I'm gonna do the screen share. No, I'm not. Change my mind. Anyways,
we don't even want to get into the semantics of screen sharing because it's not going to pop up in the final results anyways. But
I know. Yeah. So no, for my ongoing Dream Resort project, he actually designed the facade for my haunted mansion, which I'm not gonna. I haven't released it yet. It's been almost a year. No, it's been almost a year. But he sent it to me a while ago. I've been waiting to post it.
I want to see it when we.
I'll show you.
Okay.
But when it is released, whenever that project's released, which is eventually.
Eventually!
I have to apologize again to the people who've been waiting for it. Because there's people who literally go, all right, when's it coming? I'm like, next week. And then next week turns 7 months.
Oh, I hear ya. I've basically done the same thing with the Milo Murphy's Law recaps we've been doing. That's been on standstill for like almost a month.
It's hard doing certain things. It's hard keeping up. But I told him the inspiration because just backtracking. For those of you who don't know, I'm designing a Magic Kingdom for myself, and one of the lands is a Hollywood land, and the centerpiece will be the Great Movie Ride. But aside from the Great Movie Ride, the other centerpiece is the Haunted Mansion, and I wanted it to be set to Haunted Hollywood. So I gave him some examples to look to for Hollywood inspired, haunted houses. And I told him about it, and he actually went to the location to visit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if he went to the location, odds are he's not going to like make a whole vacation out of like doing some research for some concept art.
Yeah, but like he had sent me like the pictures of like what he had seen.
I'm curious, Gary. One of them, the Cecil Hotel.
No, actually, it's the LA Murder House, which is in Griffith Park.
Okay, Gary, I'm just going to throw this out into existence. When we go to Universal Studios, would it be at all possible to make a detour to the Cecil Motel?
I don't know if you could go in.
I don't even care if you can go in. I just want to like see the water towers.
You'll see there's stuff. You'll see stuff on the way there for sure.
Okay, like the Cecil Hotel and the Alyssa Lamb case. That's something that's been.
Forgot about
all that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other location that I told him to look at was the Garland Mansion, which I believe Adam the Woo explored it. It's this just abandoned house. It's, I think, Victor Minnelli, was that his name? Judy Garland's husband.
Telling me about in the first place.
Well, but it's basically a mansion and it's abandoned in the middle of nowhere.
All right.
So, anyways,
okay, so let's get back to the Imagineering. So Basket Buddy, I gave a 36 out of 42, and I believe Basket Buddy gets the high score this round. Unsurprisingly, he gets the PO MVP. I wish we had like the applause, the applause sound clip that we used to have.
Right.
Anyways, so then we have Mickey Fans, The Sorcerer's Realm. Which, this one did really, I wasn't crazy about this one.
No.
It was okay. It just kind of, to me, this almost kind of just like Universal Studios really wanted to do a Lord of the Rings themed Halloween Horror Nights maze, and yet for some reason they couldn't get the rights to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Used like knockoff like D&D characters.
That's what it felt. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And so for me, it's like creativity. I gave like a 7 out of 10 because it's using an IP, but I don't necessarily think the concept in its own right is entirely creative. Like it's a decent proposal, but it just doesn't have the same sort of punch as some of the others do.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, this and I think it was Battle for the Blood Pearl were like the two that didn't stand out as much to me.
I think the Sorcerer's Realm and Battle of the Blood Pearl, no offense to either of those, but those were definitely kind of the ones that were kind of weighing the other stuff down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's get to Snoopy, who is having a hell of a run this season. Oh
Yeah,
my
I'd say
God.
so. I would say so.
Like Snoopy has gone from like basically like one of the underdogs, like come the merge. He he won a PO MVP at a pivotal time where he very well could have been eliminated had he not won that PO MVP. And now he cracks this out. Now he cracks out Return to Horror Island. I'm in love with this. I've never seen the original movie, but this is what Snoopy does best. He draws into like old school Hollywood and he pulls out these obscure kind of Universal monster movies. And this is a great concept. I gave a realism a 7 out of 10 and I gave presentation a 7 out of 10. Realism because I'm not quite sure Universal would risk this much on a movie that's all but forgotten these days. And then presentation, mostly just because of the nitpicky thing with me of I wish he would have broken up his paragraphs a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to read in that regard. But creativity, I gave a solid 10 out of 10 to for Snoopy.
I can really see this particular film being modernized specifically for an Islands of Adventure horror night.
That would be great. That would be
like
great.
A modern retelling. Like I know recently they did Frankenstein and Dracula like modern. Like they basically made the mazes sequels to the original films. From the 30s. Cool. So it's like they added a modern flair to classic.
Right, right.
So I can see that being done with this.
Okay. Yeah, really good stuff. Then Disney Man 1. The Comeback Kid, man. Seriously.
I agree, but I feel like there's a lot of missed potential with this one.
Okay, let's talk through it because I agree to a certain extent. Disney Man 1 did the Rocky Horror maze, and I honestly think this would have worked better as a show.
Well, that's the thing. Universal Horror Nights, I believe in Orlando, usually has a Rocky Horror show.
Okay.
They have I'll type it in.
I don't know, because the thing with this presentation-wise is that it felt like it was very, very heavy on the dialogue, whereas, like, I know for a fact it would seem like it'd be very hard to get a consistent running line of dialogue through a maze. You know, you just kind of have to pick up on different snippets of dialogue that the different actors are saying.
I think that was my problem with it. I think it was mazes have to have a flow. Like you have to keep the people moving. Like you can't have them stop constantly or like stick around long enough for dialogue.
Right, right.
And it's not the same instance as say Pirates of the Caribbean where
no, I was about to say, if you were going to do this as like a Haunted Mansion style, like high capacity e-ticket animatronics ride, then yeah, I could totally see it working.
Yeah, and like with that, you could make it so the dialogue, it doesn't really matter what part you come in on. You get the gist of it no matter what. So that's the beauty of like Pirates in the Haunted Mansion.
That being said, Mew, that being said, I did give this a pretty decent score. I gave creativity a 9 out of 10 just for the use of the IP. Realism, I probably should have been way less lenient on this. I gave it an 8.5. Probably should have given it more like a 6.
I would have. The 8 is fine because it's realistic that they would pick this IP.
Fair enough.
It's such a well-known cult horror film. That being said,
I mean, I'm just saying the actual execution of it.
I see. Oh, okay, I get you.
Yeah. Then detail, I gave an 8 out of 10 or an 8.5 out of 10 for detail, which I think is fair. Presentation, I gave an 8 out of 10, which I think is fair. So overall, even though it does have that one big flaw of the dialogue, it didn't really affect the score for me that much.
No, but making a point, like comparing this to the real world, Universal typically has a funny, quote unquote, funny maze amid the horror mazes. But even then, the funny maze is usually terrifying. So like
Krampus.
Yeah, like Krampus was scary.
Right.
This Is the End was scary. Like
right. Yeah, This Is the End. Sure.
Case in point, I'm going to compare this to another cult film of the era. The American Werewolf in London maze
was terrifying. I've heard.
Absolutely horrifying. But it retained the humor and the campy cult aspect of the film. So I think even though Rocky Horror isn't a scary movie in the slightest, this maze could have been scary. Like the opening scene where they're in the theater in the maze, and like the criminologist is up on a balcony, which that was my favorite part. Like the narrator's like, I would like, if I may, to invite you on a strange journey. That felt universal to me.
Right,
but
right.
Were this real world universal, in the theater scene, they would have walked by the concession stand and like a usher or something would have like jump scared from behind the counter. And it's like, I just feel like there was a lot of missed opportunity. There's like, you could have had moments where Frankenfurter pops out of the strobe light
I feel
filled
like
fridge with an ice pick.
Rocky escapes, that would have been the best opportunity to have like some really intense jump scares.
Oh yeah, or when Frankenfurter's chasing Janet through the castle.
Right, sure.
And you could have had the maze end with the time warp. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that would be great.
Have it end with the time warp. Have the scare actors
Basically,
doing the time warp.
like a giant party that you just kind of have to maneuver your way through.
Yeah. And then the very last sight is a strobe light, like an animatronic of Eddie, the motorcyclist. Have him on a motorcycle, but have him all chopped up.
Oh my god, yes.
And, like,
yes.
He's at the controls of the bike, but he's dead. And it scares the shit out of you.
I love it.
Oh shoot, I cussed. Anyways,
yeah, watch it, Mister. Watch it.
I know, right? Trying to make this family.
I could probably edit it out though.
With a beep
or something like that. Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on. We got much more to cover.
Yes, and so little time. So, okay, we have Pie on My Cake's Five Nights at Freddy's Night Shift. Holy crap! This might be my favorite one. It's not as detailed or elaborate as Basket Buddies, and obviously Basket Buddy has the edge in terms of concept art. But I think this project is amazing. I really do. It's so well rounded. It's got just enough detail. Hello?
There's applause. Did you hear it?
Oh, okay. It's just enough detail. It's got a really good, unique presentation format where Pie on My Cake is basically on video talking about the maze, which I really love. I love the flow of the maze. Mew. I love the flow of the maze because it goes like you go through the sets 3 times. I'm assuming it's duplications of the same sets 3 times. And what I love about that is that it creates a sense of building tension. It's also very realistic. It's like what you were talking about of like efficiently getting people through one room to another room quickly. And it's just all a sense of like building tension and just really, and I love the, I love the corpses of the robots, like the storage room and stuff like that. Just overall really well done. I gave this a 10 out of 10 for realism because I feel like this is like, I'm honestly kind of shocked this isn't a Halloween Horror Nights maze yet. And
I know.
It just seems like this, like out of all the mazes, even the Chucky one, I think this is the most realistic that we got.
With as popular as it is, the franchise, I feel like it's coming.
I know. Wouldn't it be great if it was this year?
Holy crap.
I would love that.
That'd be the first thing we'd have to do.
Yes.
I know, I think it was Circus in Vegas had a maze.
Nice.
But you know how Circus is.
Okay, so finally Magic Feather, she did the Battle of the Blood Pearl, which I don't know. This one just like I have detail 5 out of 10, presentation 7 out of 10. It's realistic enough and it's creative simply in the fact that it doesn't use an IP and it's a nice like use of a space that doesn't get used nearly enough in Islands of Adventure. But this one kind of fell a bit flat for me along with Mickey Fan's project.
It's too short.
Yeah. I don't know anything else to say. There's not really much there. It's just kind of a very bare bone sort of proposal.
Not really. I don't really have much to say.
All right. So let's transition to that, Mew, and let's actually announce the nominees live on air.
Yes. And I will say that we are announcing the nominees because a team leader was never picked.
No, and at this point,
guys, for this current round, for this current round.
If you guys want to control the nominations, I'm just going to get up on my soapbox for just a minute. If you guys want to control the nominations, you have to come to a consensus on team leader because we have to put the nominees out there so the voting process can take place, you know?
Yes.
So, okay. I'm sorry, I got all like stern dad there for a minute.
It's okay. We're trying to be authoritative.
Okay,
so Pi was already nominated because he opened up Walt's Vault, and unfortunately, he was nominated for this round's elimination. That being said, putting just one contestant up against him might be a bit of an unfair advantage, given if the other
basically a death sentence.
Yeah, it's like if the other contestant isn't as active or doesn't contribute as much or etc.
Like,
the obvious choice.
The other contestant would have to be Basket Buddy.
Yes,
you know?
That's a good way of putting it. So we've decided we're going to have
arguably maybe KMB. I'd say KMB has risen in the ranks to be a front runner.
Absolutely. That being said, we're going to do 2 nominations of our own in addition to Pi, so there will be 3 nominees for elimination rather than 2.
And this was really, really hard to pick because I feel like there's been a very, very even amount of brainstorming this round.
Yes.
So we kind of didn't even go through the amount of brainstorming. It was more the substance of the brainstorming, I believe, was the process.
Yeah, which is what we did initially this season.
Mm-hmm.
But would you like to announce the 2?
Please, by all means, you be the one to get people mad at.
That being said,
I'm sorry.
I am sorry, Monorail Red and Space Mountain, but oh, shoot. Wrong cue card. I am sorry, Mickey Fan and Magic Feather, but we have nominated you for elimination. That being said, we will start the voting process today. So,
and also, I just want to throw out the possibility here, since both Basket Buddy and Disneyland 1 have Diamond PO MVPs, if they want to save someone from that nomination lineup from elimination, they are welcome to do so. I doubt Disneyman's going to do that, but Basket Buddy's such a power player, I don't even know if he needs to use the Diamond PO MVP on himself. So it might be in his best interest to get creative with the Diamond PO of MVP in his case.
Never know. If you're watching this, Basket Buddy and Disney Man.
And I'm also just going to send them a private message about it, probably. But okay, so with that in mind, let's transition to the Disney News of the Week. Okay, so did you see the Thor Ragnarok trailer?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to emulate pan pizza right now.
All we have to say about it is, yeah. All right, next topic.
No, seriously, Thor, we just did a video with Blue Dragon 5 dissecting all these shots of Thor Ragnarok. I uploaded that to the channel the day that we're recording this podcast. I'm stoked for Thor Ragnarok. I think it's going to be very good. Hulk in Guardian armor was just amazing, Gladiator armor was just amazing. Just so fun. I love the look of the planet they're on. Goldblum. Yeah, I'm stoked.
Goldblum alone.
Okay, so apparently, Mew, the Tron Light Cycle ride, which has been a big hit at what is it? Shanghai Disneyland.
Yes.
Shanghai Disneyland. Apparently, that is a big front runner to be the next e-ticket at Disneyland in Anaheim.
And Magic Kingdom in Florida.
And Magic Kingdom. Okay.
So, personally, I'm not against it.
I'd be down. Like, it's one of those things where, I mean, of course, in the back of your mind, you're just like, oh, what if they one day just decided to go the Mark Davis route of just doing a fully immersive audio animatronics driven spectacular? We know that's probably never going to happen again. So
no, we're past that point.
The Light Cycle ride looks incredibly cool. I've been dying to do something Tron related. Yeah, it's a clone, but it looks like it's a very efficient ride. It looks like it's a great coaster. And I think it would be a really good complement to Space Mountain, and even maybe take the weight off of Space Mountain a little bit.
Please.
Okay. And speaking of thrill rides, apparently Guardians Mission Breakout is testing.
Yes, it is. It's basically the building's done.
Yeah. Now, Garrett, you've seen it in real life, and you seem to have a controversial opinion on it.
Controversial. I thought you were gonna say You know what? Call me crazy. I like it.
And that opinion is very controversial. Right?
Yes, it's incredibly. Just go on Mice Chat and look at every single thread.
Oh my god, I know, it's insane.
Now, given would I prefer Tower of Terror? Yes, it works better with 1930s Hollywood. It works better with what you know what I mean.
Mhm.
It works better as a backdrop to the park. Yes, you can see it from places where you shouldn't see it, but case in point, Matterhorn,
Yeah, right.
Space Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, even Tarzan. Like you can see Tarzan from Critter Country in the right angle. So it's like, am I against it? No, not anymore. It looks nice. It actually reminds me a lot of Discoveryland in
Now,
Paris.
I heard the ride itself is only going to be 2 minutes long, which kind of worries me.
Well, that's Tower of Terror was short too.
Yeah, I know. I just kind of wish that they would have at least, I don't know.
I think it's a matter of capacity.
I guess so. Right.
Because granted, when it opens, it's going to be a madhouse.
I don't have big expectations for this. My expectations for this have kind of lowered.
I do have hope for a rocket animatronic.
That would be cool.
I feel like that will be in the pre-show, like he's going to pop out through a vent or something. But it's good to know that the original cast is in it.
Sure.
Which, that's always a bonus. But the building looks nice, and when you see it from the weird angles, you just kind of accept it. Mm-hmm. Unless you're one of those purists who's like, oh god, I'm gonna kill myself because they took away Tower of Terror, which I complained about when that was around too, because it looked burnt smoky. Just saying, people complained when Tower opened, people are gonna complain when anything new opens. And then when Star Wars Land opens in a few years, people will be like, oh wow, how amazing. Oh my god. And then they won't even remember 6 years ago when they were going, oh well, I don't like that.
I hear a lot of comments on working on the model at the Disney Museum, of people just being like, oh, I don't like how Star Wars Land is taking up so much space. Ooh, that's just ridiculous.
Well, where else are they going to put it? I remember there was the original rumor mill was Tomorrowland was going to become Star Wars Land.
Yes, and we would have had the Endor Forest speeder bike chase ride on the Autopia plot.
Yep. And Launch Bay Innoventions would have become a Star Wars museum, which it did. Mm-hmm. Space Mountain would have been overlaid,
which it did.
The Millennium Falcon would go up where the rocket jets were.
Right.
And it would have the Chewbacca meet and greet.
Bottleneck, by the way.
Yeah. And there was something else too. Oh, Star Tours would stay. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, yeah, that would have been neat, but I actually like the route they're going in now.
Well, I mean, just looking at the construction of Star Wars Land, I guess we can talk about that a little in the news. It's just
might as well.
It's spectacular. I think it just looks like a step beyond Cars Land, where this truly does look like an immersive world that you can just get lost in. Like, I think with Cars Land, they basically had the backdrop look immersive without actually having the layout of the land be that immersive. You know what I mean? Because the layout of the land itself of Cars Land is basically just like a main street and then like the side road to get to the, to get to the Pacific Wharf. And it's really just a big L when you get down to it. And that's what I think Star Wars Land is going to differentiate itself in. I think Star Wars Land is going to have a lot of nooks and crannies in it.
I hope so.
All right.
And but the highlight of Star Wars Land for me is the fact that we're getting a new Rivers of America and a new Big Thunder Trail.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that Big Thunder Trail is actually going to come back. That feels surreal to me.
It's crazy. You can see it now from Big Thunder Mountain,
Aw.
and you can actually peek through the fence now. It's like you're walking along the back of Cars Land.
Oh, wow.
Like obviously we haven't walked it yet, but the mountains and the buttes and things are so beautiful.
That sounds really cool.
It's going to be neat. I mean, it's going to be crowded the first couple of years it's open. That being said, when the train comes back this year, I'm definitely going to take advantage of the trail while it's still kind of empty.
Oh yeah, big time.
So, anyways, and you'll get to see it when you come down for the Halloween party.
I will. Yes, indeed.
Ride the train, Mark Twain.
Okay. So let's see. Apparently, there's a Club 33 style location coming to every Magic Kingdom style park.
Yeah, I don't really know as much about that. I just saw the article today. But it's going to be themed to the worldwide adventures of Walt and Lillian.
Okay.
So I know Tokyo already has one.
That's cool. I actually kind of like that.
They should each have a different name, though, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like you could have Club 33 at Disneyland, Club Walt at Magic Kingdom. You know what I mean?
Right.
But Tokyo Disneyland is getting a new Fantasyland. Actually, we should note.
Yeah. Tell me the details of that.
So essentially, about a year or two ago, Tokyo announced an expansion plan. That would entail an Arendelle, Scandinavia port at Tokyo Disney Sea. Because Frozen, believe it or not, is bigger in Japan than it is in America.
That's kind of crazy.
They have a Frozen parade. It was the biggest box office success ever or something like that in Japan. I don't know. Anyways, so they're going to get a Frozen land. They're going to get a Leonardo da Vinci themed Soarin'.
Oh,
in
wow.
Mediterranean Harbor.
Okay, Leonardo da Vinci themed Soarin' sounds like something that would actually like be an interesting and compelling use of the Soarin' technology.
All right, I have to screen share because I need to show this on the podcast.
I mean, like, get ready with the erector set guy because he's actually got something to be proud of this time.
See it?
Let me see.
It's a hang glider, like you know what I'm talking about, like the flying machines.
Oh my god!
And you can see like a little plane or something like that. So it's obviously soaring over the world, but it looks like it's going to have a inventor theme.
That is so cool.
Then here's the queue or the facade. There's a better picture. So there you go.
All right. I'm glad we got to that.
But anyways, in terms of Fantasyland, the one thing that was retained from the original plan that was released, they were gonna actually no, it wasn't retained. So the plan was they were gonna tear down Small World, build a Wonderland land, tear down Autopia, build a Beauty and the Beast land, tear down, I believe, what's their Tomorrowland Terrace thing, and then move Small World next to Space Mountain.
Oh, crazy. Wow.
So that was the original plan. The plans changed, unfortunately. Small World staying. The Wonderland was cut. Arendelle was cut. Soarin' is staying, apparently. That's going to happen. And the Beauty and the Beast land stayed.
Okay.
And so basically, they're going to have the village with Gaston's Tavern. And then they're going to have a up-to-scale version of the Beast's Castle with a trackless dark ride inside.
Oh, finally a Beauty and the Beast dark ride. Finally, after all these years.
Exactly.
Oh,
and man. The concept art looks amazing.
Okay.
And so, in addition to that, they're building a Big Hero 6 flat ride in Tomorrowland. Where it's going to be like Mater's Junkyard Jamboree.
That's a very solid flat ride.
Yeah. where little Baymaxes drive around carts
Okay.
and to
I
like mute
I like
music.
it.
It's just a flat ride, but nonetheless, it's a cute idea.
Right.
So that's what's coming to. Oh, and they're also building a special mini thing too.
Like
So
Minnie
that's about it.
Mouse.
Yeah, like she's getting a new house in Toontown.
Oh, okay. Cool. Cool. All right. So let's then I don't know. Anything else that's really worth mentioning? I mean, Disneyland Paris just turned 25. Like
Yes.
yay. I don't really have much to say about that either way though. Disneyland Paris it is interesting that Disneyland Paris I feel like was a touchstone, like it was a stepping stone in terms of something that I feel is very popular with lands nowadays, much more than they were back in the day at Disneyland Paris, which was having a land that had a connective tissue and each and every detail of the entire land blended together. And
Yes.
in that respect, I still can't wait to one day, if I'm lucky enough, finally visit Tony Baxter's Thunder Mesa.
Right.
Because Thunder Mesa is like the reason to visit Disneyland Paris for me.
Oh, absolutely. It's not even that Discoveryland for me.
Sure, but I don't know. I just there's something about Thunder Mesa and Phantom Manor. Like Phantom Manor feels like it's going to be a religious experience if it ever happens. You know what I mean?
One thing we should note about the 25th anniversary, they had a cavalcade of every character they have. And I'm talking rare characters. I'm going to screen share again.
Oh, God.
Because you need to see these, and the folks at home need to see this too, if they haven't already. Here we are.
Oh, man.
Ever seen them? Let's go down some more. Chicken Little.
Jeez.
Abby Mallard.
Geez.
There's also a Brother Bear character right here.
That's not too rare.
Not as rare.
Jessica. Oh, what the?
Yeah.
I almost swore.
Because that's probably the creepiest costume I've ever seen.
I mean, outside of maybe like the opening day ceremonies costumes.
Yeah. And of course, Roger. But
Roger Rabbit.
Shang for Mulan.
Shang.
Not as big of a deal. March Hare and Cheshire Cat.
Oh.
Go-Go, Honey Lemon, Wasabi, and Hero from Hero 6. Which, they're kind of freaky looking, but oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm like, man.
This one tripped me out.
Milo and Kidda.
Milo and Kidda. Or Kida, or I don't remember. I haven't seen the movie in a while. Basically, the characters are representing every land, and they were in representation of Discoveryland. As were Jim and Ben from Treasure Planet.
Oh my god.
Right?
Wow.
And Lewis and Wilbur from Meet the Robinsons. Not a big deal.
Phineas and Ferb in the background.
Look at this.
Cusco, yes.
With Clopin right there.
Oh my god. Clopin. Nice.
Pleakley.
Pleakley, the first transgender Disney character.
With all these experiments.
Right.
Stitch, of course. Bolt, don't care. Flying Gachito.
Oh my god. Okay, that one might be the most obscure yet. Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And then bonus Dancing Birds from In Summer.
What?
They were representing Main Street USA with
Oh my god.
Some other favorites, Sadness, Fairies, Darkwing Duck.
The
Rescuers.
Sorry, I just lost my collective mind there for a second with Darkwing Duck.
Bullseye. Friar Tuck. But I just thought, this was interesting.
Yo.
Oh, Jack Sparrow. Oh, Launchpad. What was that?
It was
Excited?
Dragon 5 watching the Deadpool 2 trailer for the first time.
Okay, one last time. Just for kicks. Look at that. Look at that. Anyways, back to reality.
Back
Next
to
week.
reality. Oops, there goes gravity. Oops. All right. Okay. And then finally, I saw something on Facebook today that made me very excited for about 2 minutes. A Muppets Phantom of the Opera starring Miss Piggy and Uncle Deadly as the Phantom. And then I realized it was a book and my heart sunk. I just want to discuss this for just a minute, though. How amazing would a Muppets Phantom movie actually be?
Yeah.
I think it would work perfectly. Because you've got the theater. You don't have to use any of the Andrew Lloyd Webber songs. You could write original songs if you want. Of course, you've got kind of like the over-the-top schmaltzy love story that Miss Piggy would be great at. I don't know. To be a thing.
It could, but I'd much rather prefer a Disney, not Disney, sorry, a Muppets Les Miserables. God on high, hear my prayer.
You see, I just think I think the theater setting of the Muppets Phantom of the Opera would make it ideal. Like setting it in the theater.
It gives the perfect inclusion opportunity for Statler and Waldorf.
Of course.
Like new characters to the story. Hey, okay. Statler, you know what they say? It's not over till the fat lady sings. Oh, don't you mean the pig? Oh.
All right, let's get into our scary adventures.
I got something real scary.
Okay.
You ready for it?
Sure.
I don't know if you're ready for it. Just hang tight just a moment. We do have a special guest on our show.
Oh, God.
Not Blue Dragon 5. But as you can hear, Tiki is already bracing himself. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Kermit the Frog here.
Oh, God.
Hiya, how are you? You want to say anything back?
This is just kind of throwing off the podcast format because you do realize that this is like I wanted to do this all as audio, Kermit.
Well, darn. Never mind. Goodbye. Never mind. Right. Failed attempt.
So Scary Adventures is basically going to be our inclusion of, like Let's Not Meet style stories, except they're going to be from our perspectives because you and I have both seen some scary stuff. And I'm going to relay a couple scary experiences I have had riding public transportation, which is an incredibly stressful endeavor, especially for someone who has social anxiety like myself. It's it's stressful in terms of, like the whole thing is basically like a canister of claustrophobia if the bus gets too full. There's always the pressure of like, someone sitting next to you or like worrying if they're going to get up or if you're going to have to like ask them to get up. It's maybe this is just coming from me, but Mew, by far the thing that like terrifies me about bus rides, and it doesn't happen every time I ride the bus, but it happens enough to make me always be on my feet and wary about it, is just straight up unruly people who are trying to get up on the bus and ride for free, and then straight up yelling at the bus driver when the bus driver doesn't allow them on.
That happens?
Yeah, that happens. And it's happened a couple times. The first experience I had with this, we were pulling up to a bus station. We saw this guy with like really big trash bags full of stuff, maybe his clothes or something. And this guy, like, he walks on the bus, and both these encounters I have were me sitting in the front seat, like I had a perfect like front row seat view of these encounters. And this crazy guy he walks up in a huff and like slams his bags of clothes down on the bus. And then he's like basically like yelling at the bus driver, like, how much is it to Santa Rosa? How much is it? And the bus driver tells him, it's about $10 to go to Santa Rosa. And the bus driver, or this guy just proceeds to absolutely flip out. And he's like, you're not getting my money. You're not getting my money. And then he turns to the people riding like, you're all crazy for letting this bus take your money. This is insane. This isn't right. You're not right, sir. You're not right. And then he just starts verbally abusing this poor bus driver and gets off the bus and just like I see him just throw his bag of clothes up against the bus stop and just start like verbally just like shouting and having a meltdown as the bus is driving off. And that just scared the crap out of me, Garrett.
That does sound pretty scary. Did you get that sensation of like pins and needles in your whole body?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, as horrible as this sounds, when people like come up to me on the street and like ask for money or something like that, I'll get that sensation.
Yeah,
like it surprises me or like catches me off guard and makes me, you know what I mean? I guess it's an adrenaline adrenaline boost in case like something is gonna happen. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what that feeling is. I don't know.
Okay, so my second scary adventure is going to be, I'll actually kind of break up the two public transportation stories with a story of just the most unruly customer I have ever seen you. Oh my God.
Where?
So I live right next to this deli called South City Market. It's called South City Market because it's on the south side of town and everything. It's like one of the last things you hit before you hit the highway. And so I was popping by after work just to get a drink, and there was this old woman in there, and she was absolutely having a meltdown because there was nothing in the deli, because the deli had closed a couple hours beforehand.
Okay.
And this woman was just absolutely verbally berating this poor guy. And this guy, man, I give him so much credit, because he was just keeping his cool. He was just like, I'm sorry, the deli closes at 4. And, if you want, come back at like 9 a.m. tomorrow and we'll have it open. But this woman is just making it act like them not having the deli open is some sort of like personal insult to her. And so she is just flipping her lid and she is just going off. She's just like, what kind of establishment are you running? All you sell are booze and liquor. Which actually, that's not true at all. If she would have taken the time to look, there's cold sandwiches in the back. There's potato chips. I'm not saying it's like great food or anything like that, but if she desperately wants to get something in her stomach, if it's really like as much of a life or death situation as this woman's making it out to be, she has options with this place. This is a typical convenience store. It's not going to have like fine food or anything like that, but it's going to have stuff that's edible. And finally, Mew, the thing that just really made my jaw drop is she basically used a racial slur.
Oh, no.
I don't want to repeat the racial slur that it was, but suffice to say she used a racial slur that would be a slur you would use against a Mexican for these two poor people who happen to be of Indian descent.
No.
Which just made it all the more just like, oh, Jesus. I mean, and she's just like, like, F you blanks,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was bad, Mew. It was really bad.
Is it over cheese or meat or a sandwich?
Yeah, it was
or
just
what?
over the fact that they didn't have anything in the deli. Just that alone just got under her skin so badly. I don't know what kind of establishment you people are running.
I like that voice you're doing.
Oh, yeah, thanks. It's based on one of my friend's grandmother. She's a heavy smoker.
Are you sure this wasn't your friend's grandmother?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good. Just making sure. I think in terms of customer service experiences for me.
Hold on. I have one more.
Yes, please go first because I gotta.
Yeah, this is really quick, but this actually happened just last night. It was on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh no!
Bus. Some guy had like a giant backpack. Like basically like two giant backpacks, and he also had a dog with him. And from the second I saw this guy, I was just like, oh I'm trying not to swear, but I'm just like, oh no, this is bad. I literally get into like mini like panic attack prevention mode. And so I frantically put on my headphones, turn them all the way up, and put on my hood and cover my ears with my hands because I'm just like, this is going to go south really fast. And it did, man. It did. Like the bus driver and this guy got into a full-on shouting match with each other over not being able to bring the dog on. And the guy was basically just like, oh, it's not a pet, it's a service animal. And the bus driver, was like, well, I don't see him with because you know how service animals usually wear the service animal vests.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't see a vest, I don't see paperwork. And the guy's just like, basically whenever stuff like this happens, the guy's just gonna be like playing at the bus driver's morality. Like, are you really that terrible of a person that you're going to leave a handicapped guy with a dog stranded here?
Yeah.
Which, it just stresses me out and upsets me, Mew. It really does. Because, like, on one hand, I can kind of see the point, but on the other hand, it just, like, it seems like it'd be such an unruly situation. Like the guy literally wanted to stand at the back with the dog and put his two bags on two seats, which I know for a fact is like a big no-no with bus drivers to just have bags, blocking two seats, and the whole thing would have been miserable. It would have been just like, it was a crisis averted in my opinion. And I felt bad that the bus driver had to go through that. And keep in mind, I didn't really hear like word for word what the confrontation was. I just know it got loud. So I don't know, man. That's my scary adventures, is just kind of the insane unruliness of people sometimes, and just the lengths people will go to cut others down just because there's a minor inconvenience happening to them. Well, it's scary, man. It really is.
People don't like to hear no.
What?
People don't like to hear no.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
See, it's like I'm a host at a restaurant, so it's like we get busy. So hi, let's say it's a busy Saturday. Saturday weekends are always busy. Saturday night, somebody walks in. Hi, there's going to be 15 of us, and I'm really personable and approachable. I go, okay, it'll be about a 2-3 hour wait. Most of the time, at least 95% of the time, people go, huh? Or what? No, how? It's one of those situations where it's like people don't like to hear no, or they don't, so it's customer service is interesting in the aspect that you have to be the person to tell someone no.
Of course.
And being a former Disney cast member, I recall a couple incidents, which I wouldn't have talked about them when I was a cast member, but now, there on Christmas Day, I was at Indiana Jones, and I was in the load area, so the station. And right before a guest gets on a vehicle, you need to height check the kids again. So for little kids, they legally have to be height checked at every single station that has a height checker. So somebody's supposed to do it outside, somebody's supposed to do it right before the staircase, and somebody's supposed to do it right before they get on. It's just common courtesy, because it's dangerous for somebody below the height limit to ride the ride. So this little girl comes down the stairs, and I see her, and I was like, I can already tell you this girl's not going to be tall enough to ride.
Oh,
like
God.
I could tell like she's going to be too short. It's Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Christmas Day. The line was 3.5 hours.
Oh no.
These people had already waited 3.5 hours. So I knew that I was going to have to be the one to say the bad news. So I take her over to the little height checker, have her underneath the thing. She's standing up. I go, put your feet together, stand nice and tall, put your head up. And she immediately does tippy toes, which they're not supposed to do. I go, okay, you got to stand flat on your feet, though. And as she stands flat on her feet, like her family's like, stand on your tippy toes, stand on your tippy toes, even though I
Oh
just said
God.
not to. So I was like, oh boy, here we go. She's not hitting the thing. She's not hitting the bottom of the thing. So I was like, oh God. So I was like, all right, one more time. Let's try it one more time. Just breathe all the way in, put your head up, put your shoulders back. And she's at least 2 inches away from the thing still. So I turned to her parents and I go, I'm really sorry, guys. I know you waited in line, but whoever checked her height outside didn't do a good job because she's not tall enough. And
Oh God.
immediately, what? No, that's BS. How dare you? Like, this is Christmas. Like,
Oh man.
and I was like, I'm really sorry, guys. Like, it's not safe. And they're like, well, what if she rides on my lap? I was like, legal. That's illegal. Like, she'll still
That's like
fall.
that's like even less safe.
Yeah, exactly. And she's like, I was like, she'll still fall out. And they're like, well, no, we want to talk to, who do we talk to? And right at that moment, my rotation came.
Oh, thank God.
So a really sweet girl, I don't remember her name, she replaced me. And I was like, okay, because I had to go to the tower position, which is like the computer that controls the ride, basically.
Uh-huh.
I had to go to that room. So I said, okay, so this little girl isn't tall enough. Will you help explain with me to her family why she can't ride? So she does the immediate action, which is, or the immediate reaction, I should say. There's these things called Simba passes where you give them to a little kid who's just not tall enough to ride, and it's good to take 6 people back up through Fast Pass when they're tall enough. It's like they can come back and like redeem it. So I did that, or she did that. The girl offers her a Simba pass. She's like, "Would you like this pass? Like, are you going to be back anytime soon?" And they're like, "We're from Maryland." So at that point, I said, all right, I got to go to Tower. So I went to Tower. I told the lead what was going on, and I never found out what happened.
Oh man.
So they were holding up the line, though. That's when the ride starts to slow down because then the boulder stops working, and then people complain about the boulder. It's just a big mess.
Oh God, yes, and I've heard stories about the boulder.
Same thing, same day, actually, I should say. Christmas Day, the ride was a little backed up, and some guy coming back into the station, and I was at a console at this point. And his arms are up in the air like he's confused. And he's looking around, he's looking at all the cast members. That was it? We waited 4 hours and the boulder doesn't work? Are you kidding me? And he's cussing at us and like shouting at us.
Oh God.
And he gets off the ride, he's like, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. And I go, sir, and I pulled him aside and I was like, go back. I was like, take the elevator with your party and get back in, and you could get back on the ride. So he got back on the ride, and when he came off, I was like, did it work this time? He's like, yes, thank you.
Oh Jesus. Oh God.
Yeah, exactly. Those are just 2 incidents I can recall.
Thank you. Yep.
But that's really, in terms of bad guests, like that's really all I've had.
Okay, you want to talk about the Mr. One Way story that we had recently?
The one that we encountered together, or the one that? Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so basically, Garrett and I were riding Space Mountain twice in a row because we had gotten a hold of 2 extra fast passes, one from my grandma and one from Monkey, who both left the park early. And so the first time we run around, Garrett, I swear to God, as soon as we got up that first lift hill and into the dark tunnel, I got this really super ominous, creepy feeling in the back of my head. And it, like, the room felt cold. I was just like, One Way's here, isn't he? Like, One Way is going to be in that freaking building when we go down into it. And so, Garrett, I couldn't, like, at the time, it's like you were stoked. You're like, all right, yeah, hyperspace. And I think I remember being just very stoic about the whole thing. Just as we're going up the lift hill, I'm like, we're going to see one way. I know we're going to see one way. And so, sure enough, Garrett, to this day, at least 3 or 4 sections in the ride, when I looked up from the rafters, as we're going around the course, and I see someone who's just creepy as hell, just standing on the rafters and staring down at the vehicles passing by.
Ugh.
Now, this could have been an employee, perhaps, but just Mr. One Way in general, just the myth of Mr. One Way. I don't know.
It couldn't have been an employee because employees have to be tagged out to go on the track. And for that to happen, the ride needs to be broken or shut down.
Okay.
So the employee's out.
So yeah, I saw somebody in Space Mountain ominously, and the scariest part of it was that they were switching places so quickly. You know what I mean? Like they'd be on one side of the mountain, and then they'd be suddenly on the other side of the mountain, like just as fast as the roller coaster car could get it.
It's a ghost.
It's a ghost. I don't know.
Because Uncle Deadly of the Muppets.
Relay my my Mr. One Way ghost story for me.
You gotta tell it. It's better when you tell it.
I'm too lazy.
Please.
Tell me a story.
Fine. All right. So, Mr. One Way, I was, this was the first day that I had gotten the courage to go on the Tower of Terror at California Adventure. I was all stoked for that. I had marathon that ride maybe like 4 or 5 times in a row previously that day. And so I got in line for Space Mountain. And I remember we were in the loading area for Space Mountain, underneath the giant rocket ship and everything. And there was this man who came up to me, and we started having just a natural conversation. This man was about roughly like 6 foot 6'2". He had balding hair. He had a touristy Hawaiian shirt, sunglasses, and a very distinct sunburn. And this guy was talking to me, and we were talking about Disneyland, yada yada. And what really rose a red flag for me was I was telling him about how I had just gotten on Tower of Terror, and he had no idea what the Tower of Terror was, even though we were previously talking about how the fact that he was a local. And I was like, okay, I mean, if this guy isn't into big thrill rides or anything like that, I could maybe understand how he doesn't. I mean, it seemed implausible that he didn't know what Tower of Terror is, but I was kind of gave him a pass. So I was like, oh, it's in California Adventure. And then this is the moment that still sends chills down my spine, Garrett, even when you retell it to friends. He looks at me with a blank expression on his face, and he's like, what's California Adventure?
Oh.
And at that point, I'm just like, I don't really know what to say. I'm just like, well, it's the theme park. It's right across the street. It's at that point in the moment, I'm just thinking this guy's just really dumb. How do you not notice the theme park that's right across the street from Disneyland? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we ride the ride, and when we get off the ride, he's nowhere to be seen. And he isn't in the souvenir picture either. Yeah. And of course, the kicker is that I didn't even know what Mr. One Way was until I looked online, and I looked on a forum about ghost stories that happened at Disneyland, and I discovered the description of Mr. One Way, who is a guest that strikes up conversations with other guests who may seem a bit out of time or out of place. The physical description matches to a T, the sunburn, the balding, the Hawaiian shirt, the sunglasses, it's all there. And riding the ride with you and then disappearing after the ride's over. And I experienced all of that without even the knowledge that Mr. One Way was a thing.
Oh.
Crazy.
Still creeps me out.
All right, well, let's transition to something that's not creepy but funny. Let's transition to the epic pop culture story.
Woo!
This up for people who might not know what it is.
Basically, it's the never-ending story of a quack who's gone to the dogs. It's a never-ending story where who is calling me right now? What the heck? I don't know whose number that is, so I'm gonna answer. Also, we're doing a podcast.
Yes, yes.
Anyways, uh, uh oh, drat. Oh, anyways, so it's basically fan fiction that one person writes and the next person finishes, and then another person finishes that person's finishing. It's a never-ending story.
Mhm.
Character from anything. It can have real people, fake people, pop culture items, icons, everything. And there's no. It's just anyone can edit it. Anyone can have fun. It's the Wikipedia of fan fiction.
Pretty much. That's a good description for it. Yeah, yeah.
And it's only on WDW Magic.
Okay, so Mew, what is the latest update with the epic pop culture story?
Right now, our hero, Blue Dragon 5, is caught in the midst of a time warp, keeps waking up from a dream after something catastrophic happens, and ends up in some kind of new scenario that's just as ridiculous as the last. So right now, Dragon and you are waiting to fight somebody in a coliseum.
All right. And wait, so it's Dragon and I fighting somebody?
Yeah, kind of like the Thor trailer.
So
Except
it's
I
not
don't.
wait, so it's not Dragon and I getting ready to fight each other?
No, you're gonna fight somebody.
Okay, okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. Okay. Um yeah, and Dragon Dragon of course is a very fun avatar to use as, as kind of this guy who's in the midst of all this pop culture, because Dragon himself is a very eclectic fan of a lot of things pop culture, from Breaking Bad to comic books to to Pixar and Disney. So like, he is the reason why the channel itself is as diverse as it is right now with the content.
Yes.
Uh yeah, so don't forget to check that out, and I will be adding on Park Review's very own Rob Alvey. Now let's transition into just some random talk here. So what did you think of Rob Alvey's video he just put up? Of course, we have a history of Theme Park Review, and like the terrible way he treated Epcot fans when Maelstrom closed. That was just despicable. I think he's notorious for just talking crap about his members and talking crap about people who pay to be at his events and yet dare to complain about it. And I just think overall, he's just really not a pleasant guy, and he just doesn't know how to run a fan base, and he doesn't know how to treat a fan base. And I get very vocal and upset about it, because when I see him treating his fans the way he does, I just be like, if I had like a quarter of the fans that he does, I'd make sure every single one of those fans felt as special as the last one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I would go out of my way for my fans, and this guy abuses his fans. So that's why he really rubs me the wrong way. But having said that, Mew, this guy posted a pretty hilarious video today. Mystic Timbers just opened at Kings Island, and the big mystery surrounding Mystic Timbers is that there was a shed section at the end. And Rob Alvey posted a video of himself riding, and he's just got the most crazy, over-the-top reaction to the shed that I have. This is the kind of stuff that's like genuine Rob Alvey, that when I see this, it's like,
Hello? 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 Can't hear you.
Okay, I'm back.
What happened?
My internet just randomly cut out. What was the last thing you were hearing me say?
Oh God, it was about subduing into some random chit chat.
Yeah, we were talking about a theme park review and Rob Alvey.
Yes.
Did I get onto my whole diatribe about Rob Alvey?
Yeah, you talked about him.
Okay, so I guess the only other thing to say, that if you haven't heard this yet, is I'm going to make him the opponent that you and I go up against in the epic pop culture.
You and
story.
Dragon.
Yeah.
Perfect. We should end it here though, because I have 10 minutes left.
You have 10 minutes left. Okay, sounds good. Well, in that 10 minutes, Mew, I'm just going to tell you I went to a concert a couple weeks ago, and it was amazing. It was the best concert that I've ever been to. It replaced Neutral Milk Hotel's Jeff Mangum as the best concert I've ever been to. Star Effer was the name of the band, just to keep it PG and family friendly and whatnot. It featured stage diving astronauts.
What?
Yeah, you've seen my profile picture or my cover photo on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's from that concert.
Oh, I thought that was like something you found.
No, it's from my concert. I took
Nice.
that picture.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was a very epic show that I went to. A lot of fog machines. The instrumentation was super on point. The guitars were just being shredded. You know, the pianos and keyboards. They had maracas going. Really, really good stuff. Synths, light bright style light displays. Oh my God, it was such a freaking cool show, Mew.
It sounds like it.
Anyways, so Mew, let's end off on Mew's impression of the week.
In last week's episode, we did impressions of, oh dear, what's his name again?
The ranger from Humphrey the Bear.
No, the ranger from Humphrey the Bear talks like this. I was doing groupie right now.
Okay.
Bill Thomas, right?
Yes.
That's the name?
Yeah.
All right. That was last week's impression. So today we're going to do a throwback Thursday. Today we're going to do the old-fashioned impression of Paul Frees. Paul Frees, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on, I gotta find the microphone. It's embedded in here somewhere. Tell me when it gets louder. Can you hear me?
It sounds good.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion.
How was that? Was that good?
That was good. Yeah, that was good.
It would probably sound better if I did the whole thing, but alas, I don't have time.
All right, can I do a Yzma monologue really quick?
If you want.
Okay, I'll just end it out on Yzma, folks. Okay?
Yes.
Ooh, how shall I do it? I know. I'll turn him into a flea. A harmless little flea. And then I'll put that flea inside of a box. And then I'll put that box inside of another box. And then I'll mail that box to myself. And when it arrives, I'll smash it with a hammer. It's brilliant, 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 I tell you. Brilliant, I say. Or to save on posting, I'll just poison him with this.